When you talk about brain health, which also is tied very closely in with autoimmune
Oh,
condition, neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain is a big deal. One of the causes of brain inflammation is
welcome to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, the podcast for high achievers who want to stay sharp, focused, and full of energy despite their diagnosis. With your host, National Board Certified Functional Medicine Health Coach, Julie Michelson, where Julie helps you take your power back from autoimmunity. And now, here's your host, Julie Michelson.
Welcome back to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast. I'm your host, Julie Houghton. In today's episode, I'm talking to Dr. Gina Nick, a mom and naturopathic physician, researcher, and formulator. And we're talking about our body's master antioxidant, how being deficient in it opens the door to brain fog, mental health issues, and autoimmune disorders. Stay tuned to learn about this antioxidant, how to help your body produce more of it, prevent depletion, and, if necessary, how to supplement it. Dr. Gina, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me, Julie. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited for this conversation because I know how important this is for listeners to really get an understanding. But I first want to have you share a bit of your journey with listeners, because I know you've been in, from naturopath to supplement creation to you've been in this space. Um, but specifically, tell me a little bit about the birth of vitamin G and how this is now your purpose.
Well, this goes back at least 20 years, at least, maybe longer. When I was in naturopathic medical school, once I learned about the human detoxification system, like that there was this elaborate system in our body that is working 24/7 in every cell in our body to remove the gunk that we are exposed to, it was like my eyes just became brighter and wider. And a lot of what I learned wasn't in medical school. It was
Right.
while I was in medical school, but I was off doing my own research,
Right.
So it was like being in naturopathic medical school introduced me
Yeah,
to
and
the
then you
fact that it existed. And
right.
then I went on my own path, and started to experience different types of detox therapies. And I personally felt better and better and better. And so that was where it all started, really, was in school. And then fast forward, my nephew was diagnosed with autism. And I kept telling my sister, we need to get glutathione into him. We need to. And at the time, I would give injections in my practice because they worked, they helped.
Right.
I would recommend liposomal glutathione because that's a form of glutathione that is known to be better absorbed when it's taken orally. But the challenge was my patients wouldn't continue to take it and I wouldn't either because it tasted
Exactly.
gross, or it had to be refrigerated.
Yeah.
And just over the years of practicing, I got to this point where if I'm going to recommend something, I want it to be something that's actually going to be used, so that you get the benefit. So even though there's scores of research on something, if it's not realistic to take it, whether it's
Right.
a cost thing or a convenience thing, it's not going to happen. And so then what's the point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you
And
need
so
the compliance, and I love that have been saying for years, I too have switched forms, but it's still taking liposomal, but I realized that mine was sitting in the fridge because
yeah,
it tasted so gross, and I am the most compliant
right, right,
supplementer that there is. I thought there's
yeah,
literally no way my clients are taking it. There's no way our clinic patients are taking it on a consistent basis. They're just not.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I love, but not all of us have the tools to say, let's do it better.
Right, right. And again, it started a long time ago. I was director of research for Standard Process Nutrition, which is, one of the largest and oldest nutritional supplement companies in existence, right? And they
Yeah.
cater to healthcare practitioners. And while I was there, I created the purification program for them.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of where it really started to develop. And I saw how many doctors and patients were benefiting from the purification program. Fast forward, I was approached by a company that made an oral form of glutathione that was proven to be available to the cells, bioavailable, even though it was an oral form, which was totally counter to what I was taught.
Right.
I was taught, no way, liposomal injection, suppository, that's pretty much it, right? And so because I was hired as a doctor, I then took the time to really dive into this, and I realized there are over 100,000 clinical research studies on glutathione. Even though I was known for detoxification,
Right.
I didn't even realize how amazing glutathione was, right? I knew it worked in my practice and from a practical perspective, but taking that time to really dive into the research inspired me. It truly inspired me. And from there, I had given a lecture to, it was like almost 600 practitioners in London on glutathione for neuroinflammation, right? And I realized the majority of the audience didn't really know a lot about glutathione really at the level that I did because I was
Sure.
so focused in studying it. And at that time, I was like, you know what? I want to make glutathione a household name. And I want to make it accessible to as many people as possible because I know how powerful it is for things like autoimmune conditions, ADHD, autism, hormone balance, skin health. I mean, it just runs the gamut. And so during COVID, I was homeschooling my daughter, and I was like, how do I get glutathione into her? Because I knew it supported immune function. And I'm like,
Right.
if we cut to the chase, I'm not going to give her a ton of supplements. And so how would how would my daughter take it? Right. That's kind of,
Right.
and I was like, I want to hack sugar. I want to make glutathione in a form. Now I know about this oral form, NIH backed ingredient, in terms of the studies that proves it does boost blood levels and boost intracellular levels of glutathione. So, and I've always custom formulated supplements for my patients. I love it. I love formulation. It's like in my blood. It's like what I like to do. And I sat down and I wrote down a formula. And I always say it was divinely inspired because I would just, I woke up one morning like, oh, I need to add this ingredient, because this will assist with the sweetness of it, contribute to glutathione production, and there's no sugar. So things like that happened. Formula came together, sent it off to have it manufactured by, the company that I would normally use. And I got the first samples back and it tasted perfect. It tasted like a
Amazing.
pixie stick. I'm like, wow. And then I started sampling it with friends and neighbors, and the kids were like, this tastes better than a pixie stick. One neighbor in particular, she's the cutest thing. Her mom could not get her to take a supplement, picky eater, and she knew she needed supplementation. And I was like, hey, try this. And I have it on video. It was the cutest thing because she tasted it. She's like, this is better than a pixie stick. It's like, okay, we're on to something here. And then from there, lots of blood, sweat, and tears. I came to coin the phrase vitamin G or glutathione, because glutathione is hard to remember. It's just this technical-ish word. And so I thought, let's make it simple to remember, and so I coined the phrase vitamin G, came out with these vitamin G pixie sticks that have the glutathione in it, but that also have the cofactors that help your body to maintain an active form of glutathione as well.
Which
And
we're
so,
going to too, because that
yeah,
also helps. You don't necessarily think of, oh, this is going to make the product better, and it also is going to make the product taste better. So
right.
I want to dig into that. I want
Yes.
back all the way up.
Mhm.
Listeners are used to me talking about, the role that our just overloaded exposure of toxins plays in not just autoimmunity, but aging, all the things. What is let's take it all the way back to what is glutathione? so that people can, and not, we don't need to know, the molecular structure, but why is it so important? And then I do want to talk about the importance of having these cofactors
Yes.
as
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. So glutathione, it's a master antioxidant. It's often referred to as the mother of all antioxidants. So what's an antioxidant? It basically helps to take toxins that we're exposed to in the environment. We all have heard now, especially about pesticides and neurotoxins and inflammatory agents and things that we're exposed to. And then also things our own body creates in a response to like a viral infection, a fungal infection, a yeast infection, a bacterial infection. There's these toxins produced. Some of them are not bad. Some of them are supposed to, like, it's a part of the process, part of the immune system. But when it's overloaded, that's where these antioxidants naturally occurring in foods and also manufactured in our own bodies to help neutralize those toxins, render them inactive, and get them out of your system to start to remove the gunk so that the cells work better. Glutathione is what's called a tripeptide. It basically means it's a combination of 3 amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of life. And again, this particular one is so fascinating to me because it's manufactured in all the cells in the body. It's found in the mitochondria of the cells. What's the mitochondria? The powerhouse of your cells. It's where energy is produced.
Yes.
Also, what I find fascinating, it's where toxins tend to congregate, right in that powerhouse of our cells. Those lovely toxins, just that's where they go.
Yeah.
But the body, in its innate wisdom, also has a defense mechanism in place, same location, to handle them, to get rid of them so that they don't bog our cells down, cause inflammation, cause damage, etc. So that's glutathione. It's a master antioxidant. It works with vitamin C. We all know about the importance of vitamin C. Glutathione is equally, if not more important, but they work together. They actually help each other out. And what's also interesting is that glutathione is a major detoxification agent.
Yes.
So it is a really important ingredient that's, again, manufactured by your body, naturally occurring in foods, that supports detoxification. So there's this human detoxification system that I'm always like, I didn't even really learn that much about it in school, even though I was trained as a naturopathic physician, right? And so what is the human detoxification system? It's a system in the body, just like the cardiovascular system, just like the immune system, just like the nervous system, right? It's this super important system comprised of a lot of different organs: the liver, the colon, the kidneys, the skin, the lymphatics are all part of this human detoxification system. And glutathione is central to having all of those organs and systems work together to remove toxins on a second by second basis. It's working 24/7.
So if we all make glutathione in all of our
Yeah.
cells,
Yeah.
why do some of us, and I am, listeners that know me know, I am one of them. Why do some of us need extra support?
Right. So either there's a genetic defect along the way that makes it so your body isn't able to manufacture as much glutathione as it needs to, or isn't able to take glutathione from foods and utilize it properly so that it works. And that's a whole other conversation. But suffice it to say, there's a genetic component there. Then we're also exposed to a lot more toxins. Our bodies, over the past 50 plus years, we've been exposed to more and more and more toxins. And I really feel that the body hasn't evolved yet to the point of being able to handle this burden of so many toxins that we're all exposed to. So even if you don't have a genetic defect, even if you have, everything's all working the way it's supposed to, there's only so much your body can take. And glutathione levels get depleted. Just like any other nutrient, vitamins, other nutrients, they get depleted from your system and they cause harm. Same with glutathione. Also, as we get older, our levels of glutathione naturally decline.
Yeah.
And there's a direct association between things like autoimmune conditions, inflammatory, any disease that has an inflammatory component where the inflammation is involved.
Yeah.
In general, there's an association between low glutathione levels and those conditions, right? And so that's where, we have to look at what can we be doing to boost our glutathione levels through diet, through lifestyle, through supplementation, because quite frankly, when we do that, you get results.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
a practitioner, you see the results. I mean, I've seen them over years with my patients. It's like the number one thing in terms of it's so foundational to all of my treatment plans over all of these years of practicing
Right.
because it works.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is
so
amazing.
yeah.
So amazing. And I know I've heard you talk about, I know we don't have time to talk deep dive on all the things that I could pick your brain about.
Yeah.
But we're talking about always talking about inflammation, really, like chronic inflammation and you would agree with me if I say sugar is bad, right? Because I know I've heard you speak about it. Um,
But I'm gonna get in trouble for
in
that.
well,
Yeah.
in a good way, my listeners know. Sugar's a plant. I say even for the healthiest people, sugar is inflammatory. Period.
Yeah.
Hard stop. It just is.
It competes
Just
for
sugar.
it competes for binding sites with vitamin C. We know that, so it lowers your levels of vitamin C, which is essential for immune function,
Yeah.
among other things. So, yeah.
So, but yet, because you're a mom,
Yeah.
you made something that tastes like pixie sticks. And
I was
love.
determined. I'm like, "I'm gonna hack this whole sugar thing. I'm gonna hack it." And so it'll be something that tastes like sugar candy, is fun to take, isn't so clinical-ish, to deal with. It's not in, like, a boring bottle of pills that you're having to take or in something that tastes bad, right? Or that
Right.
you're having to get an injection for.
Right.
That's going to help day to day to work with your body to do what it's naturally designed to do, to just help deal with the overburden that we're all exposed
Yeah.
to toxins. And that human detoxification system, it's such an important system when it comes to looking at what is causing chronic conditions
Sure.
and what can help treat chronic conditions.
And reverse sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
really. So
Yeah.
I love, but I love that you make it fun. And I'm not like, I was born in 1969, so
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed my fair share of pixie sticks.
Yeah, I love fix and fit.
So I'm born a health coach,
No, I know. And I think we all got into it because at some point in time
we needed to.
we needed to. We needed to realize I was like, "Oh, all my diet of eating Skittles in high school, not the best thing in the world." And
Right.
that's really actually when you
Not
ask
the
about
right
my
kind of
journey.
rainbow.
Yeah, when I was in high school, I started to take college courses. My mom she was a teacher, and she saw that I was kind of bored,
Sure.
and I was taking the honors classes and all that, but I was just not stimulated, and so I took a nutrition class at a community college, and that just opened up my world because I was truly my lunch was I'd go to the vending machine and I would
Sure.
get the purple bag of Skittles.
Yeah.
I loved them, and then I was learning, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing?" And so I stopped that, I started to take nutritional supplements and kind of work on myself, and, that was it. When you have that personal
You
experience and
can't
you realize,
unlearn.
"Oh
Yeah.
gosh." No.
Unknow.
Yeah, yeah, and so that really started the journey.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
Well, we can all thank your mom then
yeah.
for
Oh,
encouraging you.
oh, I can thank her for so many things, but yes, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing. So I promised we were going to also dig in a little bit with the cofactors because
Yes.
there's one thing that I know um, listeners really need to learn about in conjunction with glutathione because I think even just on its own,
Yeah,
it's something that can really help a lot of people.
yeah.
So let's talk about that in addition to this special form of glutathione.
Yeah.
that's absorbable.
Yeah.
This is in there.
Well, so here's the thing. When you start to learn about glutathione, you think, okay, more is better. I'm going to do IVs of glutathione, injections of glutathione, I'm going to take a ton of glutathione. Makes sense. You know, you're like inspired. When you see the research, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody needs this. But your body is under what's called tight homeostatic control when it comes to glutathione.
Yeah.
Which means it will only accept so much into the cells, to the mitochondria, where it actually will have any benefit at all, right? And so too much is not good. There are some leaders in the glutathione world that say IV glutathione, can be beneficial, but if you're not taking the cofactors as well, only so much is getting in. And then also, this is really important. So there's something called reduced glutathione. That's active glutathione. So it actually works in your body. Your body takes that, uses it to neutralize those toxins and get them out of your system, and then it recycles first it turns into what's called an oxidized form.
Yes.
Right? Then it has to go back to that reduced form. So it's like a cyclical thing that happens. In that process, your body eats up a lot of cofactors, zinc and B vitamins and magnesium, vitamin C, to get back to that reduced active form. And so what happens is, and you may have seen this in your practice, when patients take the IV glutathione, it works amazingly in the beginning. And then there's this point of diminishing return where it stops being as effective. Why? One of the reasons is because your body is getting depleted of these other essential nutrients that it needs. And so that's where it becomes important. With the formula, when I was looking at it, I wanted to make sure to include some of those main cofactors because it's about keeping appropriate levels of active glutathione in your system. And so that's where things like zinc and magnesium glycinate and buffered vitamin C, et cetera, are in there. I also added vitamin D3. Our new formula adds inulin, which is a whole other thing. It's a prebiotic because glutathione is actually super important for gut health and maintaining a healthy gut microbiome as well. And so it wasn't just, I'm going to find a way to give everybody glutathione because I have this form that's more bioavailable. But what else is needed? Again, it's all about giving your body what it needs so that it can heal on its own over time. And also protecting your body day to day from exposure to glutathione.
Well, and I
So,
love like even the addition of the inulin, right? Because you're
yeah,
going at it's whole health. Like we can't just do one thing
right,
and think like, oh, this is the end all be all.
right,
Even if it's something essential like supporting glutathione.
right.
So I love that, you keep optimizing and playing with it.
Yeah.
Can we talk about glycine a little bit?
Yes. Yes.
Please.
So, glycine. So when I mentioned that glutathione is a tripeptide, a combination of 3 amino acids, one of those amino acids is glycine. And so I added glycine to the formula. I've always added glycine when I'm custom formulating products for my patients. I'll tend to use glycine as a sweetener, believe it or not. Has a nice gentle sweetness to it. But lo and behold, it also gives your body one of the tools it needs to make glutathione on its own. And glycine also feeds the good bacteria in the gut, supports liver detoxification, all those things.
Well, and there's so nervous system dysregulation I think is another major player in autoimmunity.
Yes.
And glycine is calming, and we're always talking about optimizing sleep,
Yeah.
and so again, and the body is brilliant. It has all these redundancy
Mhm.
systems for things that are important.
Yes.
And so I love that you also, added the extra glycine. And again, and it's a brilliant way to add, like you said, a gentle sweetness,
Yes.
but in a totally healthy way.
Yeah, yeah. I use glycine sometimes on its own for treating anxiety
Yeah.
because it increases GABA levels, that calming brain chemical, really nicely. It works really, really well. And when you talk about like brain health, which also is tied very closely in with autoimmune
Oh, yeah.
conditions, neuroinflammation, inflammation in the brain is a big deal. One of the causes of brain inflammation is glutathione deficiency.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for it is our brain is always protecting us, right? And levels of glutathione in the brain get depleted quite quickly, which makes the brain more vulnerable to exposure to toxins, to exposure to neurotoxins. There are toxins that are very specific for causing brain inflammation. And glutathione levels get depleted, period. And so when you talk about brain inflammation, again, glutathione becomes a really important compound in keeping that at bay. Mm.
And I mean, brain inflammation alone, systemic inflammation alone is enough to sometimes be the main driver of anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, gosh,
it's like,
yes.
oh, you just get the inflammation down, and people are like, wait, but where'd my anxiety go? Or I can sleep now, or and so it's all I'm a Recode Bredesen coach.
Yeah.
It's all the same players, and reducing toxins and supporting detox pathways. We can't age well if we don't do that.
No, one thing with COVID was everybody learned about inflammation. I would give lectures and all this about silent inflammation. How do I describe silent inflammation? It's not like a bug bite where you see this raised, red, inflamed
Right.
area. It's something that's kind of insidious in the body that's causing a ton of harm.
Yeah.
And one really cool thing that I learned years ago that I thought was fascinating was if you have like an autoimmune condition and you have what's called systemic inflammation, whether it's because of a virus or yeast, mold, all those things. So you'll have these inflammatory chemicals circulating around, which we can test for. What's so fascinating to me is your brain will make the same inflammatory chemicals that the rest of your body is making in response to what the rest of your body is making.
Right.
So
It's
if
like, oh, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, why does it do that? It's to protect the brain,
Right.
right? And so when you have inflammation in the rest of your body, it triggers that same inflammation in the brain.
Yeah.
And there's this close connection going on there.
Yeah. And
And
I'm
then what's
sure most
interesting,
listeners can feel that as you're talking about it, right? I mean, any chronic, pretty much any chronic illness, but especially if we're talking about autoimmune specific,
yeah,
brain fog is one of the most common symptoms. And
yeah,
that's exactly what we're talking about.
and depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
So, and then interestingly, when you look at it, well, why would it be, that when you're sick, it would cause you to feel low and depressed? One of the reasons is because it'll keep you in bed and keep you from
Same.
going out and spreading the infection to everybody else.
Yeah.
Like just like again, looking at evolution and just the wisdom of the body and nature
Right.
and all of that. So it makes sense. But for us, it's like when you have somebody who's dealing with an autoimmune condition and they're also experiencing depression,
Right.
it's not necessarily that they're
Two
suffering from a
things.
Prozac
Right.
deficiency.
They're probably not. I've yet
Yeah.
to met anybody who is.
Right,
But yeah,
right. It doesn't mean that those things can't be helpful intermittently as
sure.
needed.
As they
But
were created for.
yeah, yeah. But if you go to the underlying cause, dealing with that inflammation
Yes.
helps to deal with those other symptoms because of being able to lower neuroinflammation. And again, that circles us right back to glutathione and the role that glutathione plays in lowering that neuroinflammation. Um,
Is there anybody who should avoid supplementing with glutathione?
so I always say with supplements, when you're dealing with a chronic illness, work with a qualified
Practitioner. Yeah.
healthcare practitioner that actually understands nutritional supplements, understands more like of a functional medicine type approach so that they can really look at what your body needs. So with that, if you have like a defect in being able to handle glutathione,
Yeah.
you might not want to be taking IV glutathione, right?
Right.
Because it could just wreak havoc and cause a further imbalance. But that's where when I created these, I wanted to provide glutathione in what's called a physiologic dose. So what I looked at, what does the body actually make day to day? And then if we were living in a bubble where there were no toxins we were exposed to, and we were eating the perfect diet, right? Where the locally grown on your own farm and whole foods, and that's it, like perfect diet. What would you be getting from your nutrition as well? And so when it comes to doses, it more is not better. This is
Thank you
about
for
giving
saying
your
it again.
body,
Yeah.
yeah, right? It's about giving your body what it can actually use, and then that's where I look to nature. I look to how the body works on its own. I didn't just come up with, okay, let's give, a ton. Let's get as much as we can into these pixie sticks.
Right.
No, it's about what can the body handle? And in a perfect world, what would you be taking in day to day as nature intended
Right.
to keep everything healthy? Um, Also, just given the amount of toxins we're all faced with,
Yeah.
you know.
Which is so brilliant. And I love that, again, it's not just palatable, but that kids love it because
Yeah.
I mean, these little ones are exposed to stuff, that I wasn't exposed to in childhood. So they're already starting, well, plus, whatever mom was exposed to when she
And
was
grandma,
carrying them.
mom and
Yeah,
grandma,
I mean, we know how to support the body better, and we will continue to learn how to support the body better,
right.
but our exposure isn't going to just magically get reduced unless we're
Mm.
really taking action.
Just a couple of days ago, my daughter, I was on FaceTime with her. She was just getting out of school, telling me about her day. And she shows me her tongue and it was bright blue. And I'm like, and she goes, look it, my teacher told me I had to taste this Jolly Rancher. And she goes, Mom, she actually told me you have to try this one to see if you like it. It was like a treat for the kid. Yeah, 8th grade. And and she was kind of appalled by it. She spit it out afterwards, but she was showing me. And so even, the world,
We
it's
have
like
more work to do, right?
we have so much more work to do. I'm like, how are teachers even allowed to, do
Yeah.
this? But it's also lack of knowledge. If they really
Sure.
knew, they wouldn't do it. They care about the kids, but it's like that association isn't there quite yet. It's getting better.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're all exposed.
Yeah.
As parents, our kids, they're all exposed. It's like impossible to prevent
Yeah,
all of
well,
it. And yeah.
and the beautiful thing is it's okay.
Yeah.
We don't need to live in a bubble.
Right.
You
Nor do
know,
we want to. Like,
but
how boring would that be?
maybe we need some better pixie sticks.
Exactly. Well, that was the point. That was, these are not going to turn your tongue blue. But
At first, I was like, was she doing methylene blue?
yeah, right. Right.
In
Yeah,
my
no.
world, like that's
Right.
usually
Exactly.
where the blue tongue comes from. But
Yeah.
Jolly
Jolly
Rancher.
Rancher, bright blue, and just
Yeah.
from tasting it, just from trying it, I'm like, this is just not, it's just, it was showing me, hey, this is reality.
Yeah.
This is what we're living
This
with.
is
And
why you
again,
need the extra support. For
yeah.
sure.
So realistically, what can we be doing?
Yeah.
I always say, do something day to day. Do just one thing. Pick one thing daily, like be conscious about it. What am I going to do to support my detox mechanisms? What am I going to do to limit exposure to toxins? And if you just have that kind of at the forefront of your mind on a daily basis, as adults, as parents, it will help to kind of slowly
Yeah.
change your lifestyle and what you're doing, understanding that this is real and it's like a shortcut to feeling better. Once you
It really is.
understand the human
Yeah.
detoxification system and what can help, it truly is. It like shortcuts through and helps keep that inflammation down so you can be living your best
Be your
life.
best self. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're at the point of the conversation where listeners are leaning in because they know I'm going to say, Dr. Gina, what is one step? I know you just have given
Well,
one step that everybody can take starting today to improve their health.
so that
Thing.
I'm going to reiterate that. One step is every morning decide, what am I going to do today to support detoxification? That can be, I'm not going to drink water out of a plastic water bottle today or give it to my kids today. I'm going to get out in nature and get a little bit of sun exposure.
Yeah.
Nature regulates the cortisol, the stress hormone. The sounds of nature helps to regulate cortisol. And cortisol is kind of central to the whole
Everything.
inflammatory process. It can be that. It can be, I'm going to choose to eat just organically grown produce today. Whatever it is, decide every morning, okay, what's the one thing I'm going to do? It can be, I'm going to go take a sauna.
Yeah.
There's so many ways. We have so many. The good part about living today is there are so many tools available. You don't have to do them all. It doesn't have to cost an exorbitant amount of money. There are ways to support detoxification for every walk of life,
Yes.
and so pick one thing and then
Love
do
it.
it. And then just every day pattern it.
Well, and like you said, you're bringing it to the forefront of your consciousness, and then you can build on it from
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So amazing. For people that are listening on the go and are not going to check the show notes, where is the best place to find you?
vitaming.com.
And one of the things I commend you and love about your website is you have research on there, for
Yes.
people who really want to know, like, is this stuff for real and what's in it?
Yes.
And I would say go to the website and not only, try it, but if you want to learn more,
Yes.
there's so many resources on the website in addition to other fantastic interviews you've done and lots of education. So I really just appreciate the contribution that you're making for people to become in charge of their own health. That's what this is all about, is
Yes.
empowering people.
Yes, you have tools. You have the tools within you. Your body
Yeah.
is making glutathione. You're doing that. And so that's another thing is just because we're being told about all these horrible toxins, my daughter
Right.
coming home with a blue tongue, all those things, it's okay because our bodies also have these innate mechanisms to handle it. It's just about
Yes.
supporting the body when symptoms come up. It's kind of like a little warning sign. Hey,
Yeah.
help me out here, right?
So
And you work in partnership with your body to get back to balance.
And it's not about being perfect. It's not about my smirk is because I was thinking back to when my middle son was in college,
Yeah.
and he he was very educated, but he was also a college boy, a young
Yeah.
man, right? And if he was going to drink, he would take extra gluten, like
Oh, yeah.
there. But
It
it didn't
works.
mean he couldn't have any fun. It just meant, like, and then he outgrew it and realized, no, I'd rather just feel well all the time, and that's fine.
Right. Maybe I'll ditch the alcohol. But it does. I mean, that's kind of, I have to say, a lot of my patients take the pixie-sticks,
Yeah.
proactively if they know they're going to be going out and drinking
Which,
because they don't get the hangover. Yeah.
I mean, and that's what the hangover is, people, is body struggling to detox. So
Perfect.
it-
Yes.
it's not about living, this perfectly, again, nobody wants to live in a bubble or a cave. I mean, it just doesn't, that's not what it's about. It's about having the tools to feel your best life, but also, to handle whatever exposure, intentional or not, that we
Yeah.
maybe hit with. So
And that's why my mission really is to make glutathione, vitamin G, a household name and make it
Perfect.
accessible to as many people as possible.
So amazing. Dr. Gina, thank you so much for, again, coming and sharing your knowledge, but also for all, I can only imagine the time and ingenuity that went into creating, the product as well. And I'm, not that I'm rushing my kids to give me grandkids, but at least now I know that there's some glutathione that I can give them when the time
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really important, for that purpose too. So, yeah.
comes. So, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
For everyone listening, remember you can get the links and transcripts and show notes by visiting inspiredliving.show. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity. Did you enjoy this episode? Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to get a transcript of this and every other episode, just head on over to inspiredliving.show or click on the link in this episode's description. There, you can also find everything we discussed in this episode, including links and information about our guest. You can even send in your questions to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Until next time, this is Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, helping you take your power back.